today. But right now, I want to welcome my first guest, State Representative John Lombardi, I believe is around the corner. Thank you for coming in today to be on Go Local.
My pleasure, Kate. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. This is the new downtown studio, and you're one of our first guests. We've had actually about several dozen so far. So what do you think of the studio?
Well, I think it's great. I kind of got lost. I was down the street, but of course you navigated me to the proper channels, and here we are.
Got you to the right place. Well, I appreciate your coming in, and of course, coming across town from being in your district. Beautiful day out, and let's start local politics, and then we'll expand. So, in terms of what you're hearing from your constituents, what are the biggest concerns in your district right now, and what are folks telling you?
Well, in my district, obviously, we have a district that's in flux. It's changing. A lot of hipsters, gay community, college students, and they're very concerned about rents. So there's some talk about rent. I don't know where that's going to go, but that's certainly a discussion that's bubbling. There's a concern about crime. There's a concern about taxes. Obviously, jobs, and this airlines is down into the neighborhoods where people will find real jobs with real money with real opportunities.
About 3 weeks ago now at the Federal Hill Commerce Association meeting about what's taking place up there. What do you see happening both with the proposal for Rhode Island's Little Italy, the need for enhanced lighting on the street? What's going on up on the Hill?
Well, the lighting is an issue. That's if we're going to do it properly, it's going to cost anywhere from $5 to $10 million. We have some ideas in the pipeline. We're working with DOT, with trying to get some tip money, things of that sort. Obviously, we want to increase police presence, but more importantly, we need to eliminate and get rid of those dastardly parking meters that's really causing a pall in that neighborhood. And recently, I heard that two businesses that have been established for 3 or 4 or 5 years that they're going to be closing or selling on, and that's very disconcerting.
Have these businesses made this announcement yet?
Well, not publicly, but I know for a fact that one of them is being sold, and it's very disconcerting because I know this person put their entire life into it, but their sister is sick and their mom's not feeling well, so he had to make a choice: take care of my mom and my sister, or take this business, continue with this business that's from 6 in the morning till 6 at night. So.
Now, have you spoken with him? Did he say that parking meters were a part of the problem?
Yes, he's one of the individuals that complained from day one. And you know what's sad and disconcerting, Kate, is when you walk down Owls Avenue in the morning and the street is not full. I mean, that street was always bustling, very vibrant. And everyone that I speak to say it's because of the parking meters.
And you had a line. It was what the cost of a loaf of bread could be if you went in.
Sure.
What have you said?
Well, no, it's not a line. It's a fact because a couple of old timers told me that, John, I buy a loaf of bread for $5 or $6. I have a $100 ticket. That ticket's $106 now. Guess where I'm not coming anymore? Where I can go to Cranston, Warwick, somewhere else, park for free with lighting, with security. It makes no sense.
And you're going to keep up with this fight, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. I have told the mayor. We met with the mayor. In fact, Anastasia Williams and myself met with the mayor a couple of weeks ago on some issues, and I said, Mayor, you have to eliminate these parking meters. He said, well, it's contingent upon if we get some givebacks and whatever's going on with the unions, which is really a non sequitur. And I know that's exactly
parking
what
meters, unions.
I totally agree with you.
It's a little.
It's more like satin and a penny, but that's okay. But we'll figure this out at some point.
Well, it's been a big issue, and it's been a big issue this past year. I mean, we saw Hope Street basically put the put the clamp down on them. They were looking to put parking meters over there, Wickenden Street as well. So now we hear from Thayer Street and Federal Hill especially about the impact of meters. So you're going to continue that fight.
Sure. Again, what I don't understand is what's the difference between those areas and Federal Hill. Federal Hill is an economic engine. Federal Hill, we raise a lot of taxes for the state of Rhode Island and the city of Providence. So why aren't we being afforded the same rights, rules, and regulations that any other part of the city is? I think we should be encouraging the businesses, not discouraging them.
Okay, so let's branch out a little bit beyond the district and let's talk city politics as its former mayor and council president. Now, you were coming across town, and obviously you know the discussion that's been going on about how to address social service issues and panhandling issues. We saw in Cranston, they passed that ordinance there with a Republican-controlled city council. What do you think the best approach is in the city to address issues both from folks in need, business folks, visitors, everybody?
Yeah, again, social service programs need to be increased. They must be made readily available. Jobs must be readily available, right? Jobs are real benefits, are real opportunities. I hope that they're not saying, if someone is selling heroin or, fighting or, exposing themselves, those are crimes. I don't know why they're not being arrested for those. And the courts will work with you once in a while about if someone needs social service, someone's drinking, has a drug problem, whatever it may be. I also wear my other hat as a municipal court judge, so I have to kind of be a little tempered on this. So, but I can tell you what I would do, we've had that situation because we do have petty misdemeanors that we have to deal with, and I know what I have advised and how I've reasoned my sentencing of those individuals.
And the mayor, had a press conference a couple months ago now. It was when former Mayor Joe Paolino had put out his plan as well. Suggested giving meters, talking about parking meters. Now, we haven't seen that. Do you think that that's a good approach to give in that sense?
I don't think so, and the reason why is I think you may create an attractive nuisance for more criminality. People may want to steal those things knowing that there's money's in there.
Kind of knock them over.
Well, look, that's been a problem for a while in some areas, and people that are in the crime industry, they get creative and they understand how to do these things. Certainly, people like yourself and myself do not know, but let them do it. And look, if it works, fine. But I think the way you do it is by having the social service programs, committing the money to do what you have to do, whether it be drugs, alcohol, prostitution, whatever it may be. Let's deal with these issues. Mental illness. Let's deal with them now.
And apart from that, what, in your opinion, as I'm looking at a big truck outside here, looking at a pull-up, or right before everything happens down here, it's great. What are the biggest issues facing the city? Obviously, the fiscal situation is what it is. And obviously, the unfunded pension liability is the large elephant in the room. How does Providence move forward with this, big issue, the issue that everyone's talking about?
Yeah, but it's not only the unfunded pension liability, as you know, Kate, there's also the medical portion. So it's not really $1 billion, it's closer to $2 billion, that deficit. Well, again, contract negotiations, give backs, creating opportunities, making the city a city where people feel safe, where the school system is great. And I don't think there's been infrastructure repairs, and I just don't think that the past 10 or 12 years we've had that commitment to that. And I would urge this mayor and any other mayor, anyone running for office, to talk about those issues because I think they're going to have a major impact on who's the next mayor of the city of Providence.
Yes, indeed. Now let's tack a little bit back. There have been folks who have been mentioning bankruptcy from an Alan Hassenfeld and other business leaders. What do you talk about with folks when they bring that up?
I think when you use the B word, I can't even say it. And you talk about the city of Providence. I think it'll be a legal nightmare, and I think that's absolutely should be off the table. Off the table.
So let's tack from city politics to statewide politics. You said you wanted to talk about a few things, and one of the big things before the assembly had gone into recess was talking about the rules changes. And I know that that's something that you wanted to talk about. So what needs to be done?
Well, one of the things is to 6-year limit on leadership positions. I mean, the speaker is there by constitution, so that really doesn't apply. But as far as the majority leader, the other leader, the deputy majority leaders, and so on and so forth, and chairs, that should rotate every 6 years.
And is that possible if if there's a speaker in power and folks are advocating for that? Do you see that being a possibility?
Well, it's probably not a possibility, but I think everything has to be on the table too. And the reason why? Change the ideas. Have some of the people that are there, give them opportunities to move up the ladder quicker. And the other thing that we've talked about is term limits, 3-4-year terms. Again, changes the ideas, and I think there's a lot of support for that.
So you'd be for just straight out term limits for legislators?
Well, that also.
Yes. Okay.
That's a separate issue.
That is a separate issue. Leadership and
by the
rank
way,
and file.
I propose that also.
Okay. So tell us what, if you had your top three things that you're looking to achieve this year, what would you say are your biggest goals?
Well, certainly that would be one. Either one of those two issues would be one. Certainly the budget, the 9.3 million, the $900,000 needed to keep the busing going. I don't understand why we're hesitating in that, because that affects the poorest neighborhoods, the poorest people, minority community, people with handicaps. Why would we want to make them prisoners of their apartments? I just don't understand that. And certainly jobs. Jobs. I think that's very important. Those three issues.
So in terms of jobs, and say how the Commerce Corporation has been approaching, bringing in big name companies, kind of bring price tags attached.
Sure.
That is advocated by the Raimondo administration. Some folks are critical of. We just had former Governor Chafee on saying that he thought it was a candy store approach. Do you think that's the right approach that they're taking right now in terms of kind of the picking sort of the big winners, and how do they help? How do you see the rest of the city being served?
Yeah, actually the state. I think it's a combination thereof. It's okay to do that, but we also have 90,000 small businesses in the state of Rhode Island. I think we need to create some impetus for them, and some monies available for them, and opportunities for them, because I think they're the grassroots. They're on the groundswell of business and what the economy is in this state. So I think we need to find a fine line between the two.
And free college for all for the 2 years. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's I need to see what level's going to be in the details. I think there's certainly people that deserve that opportunity. So I'm not opposed to it. I just want to see what the final details are.
Okay, and back in next week, obviously on recess, which is why I can catch you at this sort of 4:30 hour, and
Yes.
otherwise you'd usually be up there.
Yes. Yes.
And obviously repeal the car tax.
If it's possible, sure, why not? That's okay.
And
It helps the poor people.
legalization of marijuana.
That's okay with me.
Yeah.
If we can control it, we can bring in. My only concern is from a legal perspective. Let me wear my legal hat. With the Trump administration, does at some point he go, you know what? Send the feds and damn stop arresting people.
Do you think we're so focused on the immigration side of things from the Trump administration. Have we gotten any indications do you think there'd be concerns with the Trump administration with federal regulations?
Well, I think he's talked about that. So yes, there is, but we need to keep that flow and that the communication going. So we need to do that.
Do you see the appetite at the Assembly for legalization? There've been, it's been several years now that they've introduced tax and regulation pieces of legislation. What's your sense when you talk with colleagues?
I don't see it. I don't think there's a stomach for too many things. I think we're going to be concerned about the budget. We read in today's paper about the abortion bill. 5 people have withdrawn their support. So I don't think there's a stomach for real controversial issues. But marijuana is okay, but I don't know.
No, so here we are in 2017. If we look into 2018, then it's an election year.
Sure.
Becomes an inherently political issue. Massachusetts is moving forward. They've had a little bit of a hit the pause button on it, but after legalization, any concern that Rhode Island? Folks are constantly talking about weighing the pros and cons of it. But if Massachusetts moves forward and Rhode Island doesn't tackle it for another couple of years, is that something that's part of the conversation?
I hope so. I'd rather be the engine than the caboose, and it seems like we're the caboose. And let's not be so. Let's be proactive. Let's see what the legal regulations are. Let's try and get some indication from the Trump administration how they feel about the federal concern about this, and let's go forward. Let's be proactive, and if we can derive some income, and if it's good for cancer people, other problems, I think it's a win-win.
Okay, so you heard it here from Representative Lombardi. Very glad you could come in today. I am going to get you before you go, though, because we do it's trivia questions.
Oh, okay.
It's from this game called, I think it's Day Trip. I always mix it up, but it's this Rhode Island board game. It's Rhode Island trivia.
I've never played, so.
And, I'll have you pick a card. I'm always accused of possibly...
Oh, no, you pick the card. You pick the card. I trust you.
I can pick the card. And let's see here. We've asked folks before, and... oh, one's interesting. Okay, there's a few questions on here. Let's see which one I'm going to ask you here.
I may not know the answer, so please forgive me.
Which 1994 Farrelly Brothers film starred Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels?
Me, myself, and I?
Oh, it was Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, okay, so that makes me Dumb and Dumbest.
I've never actually seen the movie,
Okay,
so I probably
Neither, so I
Either.
apologize.
There was another question here of which Rhode Island city was the first city in the U.S. to host a circus, Newport or Providence?
Had to be Newport.
It was Newport. Why do you say it had to be Newport?
Well, because you know what, Providence was the obvious one, but I kind of think deductively, so my deductive reason suggested Newport. Yes.
Now that's a piece of trivia I certainly would not have known. So it's kind of fun. I mean, there's definitely things here that people know and people don't, but appreciate your coming in today.
My pleasure. Thank
we'll
you for
talk
having me.
soon. Anything coming up? Again, the big thing we talked about, the impact of parking meters on Federal Hill. Talked about some state stuff, so I appreciate your coming in today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.